Welcome to the BBOC tailgate. I'm Tim Kalinowski. You're Mike Calabrese. We bet college football player props, and we're kind of good at it. We are 18-5-1 on the season. Calabrese, we had to avoid a push last week, so funky numbers a little bit. We didn't expect to see a tie in there, but hey, that's 78%. Let's get into it, my guy.
All right, let's start with the Tiger tussle in the SEC. Two Tigers enter, one leave between Mizzou and LSU. I'm going to go over 270.5 for Brady Cook, the Mizzou quarterback. He's been on an absolute heater, news to no one, 364 yards through the air in his last three, and that includes a big game against a ranked K-State team. He has a perfect touchdown to interception ratio, 11-0 on the season, and he's got a big-time receiver in Luther Burden III. So, can the LSU pass defense slow him down? Spoiler alert. No, absolutely not. They're 83rd in pass defense, but 121st in allowing explosive plays. So far, the Bayou Bengals secondary has given up 7 pass plays of 40-plus yards. That's worse than the SEC, tied with Vandy. So I'm anticipating a shootout here between Mizzou and LSU and at least 40 pass attempts for Cook. I'd play this up to 282.5.
Yeah, I faded the LSU pass defense last week. You're going to it again. Let's hope it continues on there. Thank you, Brian Kelly. A defense that I'm trying to fade is the UNC Tar Heels. So I got to get your opinion here. I'm looking at kind of a buy low spot on Syracuse here. I don't really believe in North Carolina's defense when they play a competent quarterback. So Garrett Shrader, his over-under for passing yards is 217.5. And his over-under for rushing yards is 33.5. I will probably end up betting both, but for my official pick, can I get a lifeline from you?
If Oronde Gadsden II was still a tight end and he was healthy, I think I would lean to the passing. But looking back at what App State did against North Carolina, their quarterback ran for over 40 yards in that game. So I think I would lean that way. But I think both numbers are lower than they should be. And North Carolina really, in terms of their advanced stats, buoyed by that opening win against South Carolina, where they were just sacking Spencer Rattler left and right. I think he checks under his bed every night for North Carolina defenders before going to sleep. So the fact of the matter is, I don't think you have huge worries in terms of Shrader taking multiple sacks in this game, but I do think that both should be plays, although I would lean to the rushing total.
Let's call it the rushing total. Over 33.5 yards for Syracuse quarterback Garrett Shrader. I think the number was just a little bit depressed because of what Clemson did to him last week. So let's hope. Big game for Shrader. What do you got next?
All right, we started with LSU Mizzou. Let's stay with LSU Mizzou. Over 32.5 receiving yards for Mason Taylor, the LSU tight ends. Now, listen, Mizzou is just a little bit better in terms of pass defense than LSU, but not considerably. They're 90th in defending the pass. And I'm looking for comps here. They played K-State, and Ben Sinnott, their tight end, went for 78 yards and 2 scores. A few weeks before that, they played Middle Tennessee. Jeremy Tate Jr. went for 43 yards. So it's absolutely possible to hurt them in the middle of the field, throws into the flats. And when you look at what LSU brings to the table between Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., that's a lot for a defensive coordinator to compete with. So you're going to see one-on-one coverage. You're going to see him being kind of that safety blanket for Jaden Daniels. And when you look at his numbers against FBS competition this year, 33 yards, 39 yards, 61 yards. You have to remember, this is one of his favorite targets. He caught the 2-point conversion to beat Alabama last year in overtime. He likes to look at him in third down and red zone opportunities. So I think 32.5 is underpriced by about 9 yards. So I'll go over on the Bayou Bengals tight end.
Mason Taylor, they call Max Cap. I will go to a tight end myself here. Calabrese, we've been doing this for a couple of weeks now. It's almost like the wide receiver numbers get a little inflated. We got to get greasy. Now we have to move on to the tight end. So I'm on the Arizona State tight end, Jalin Conyers. Who, what, when, where? I'd probably be the only one betting on Arizona State, Colorado that has a tight end player prop. But yeah, Conyers, he has been the favorite target of their, 25th quarterback this season, Trenton Bourguet. And he, like I said, I just did the math backwards. I think that Colorado lets up a lot of yards. Who was the new quarterback's favorite target? Conyers, 8 targets last week. I think he can easily get over 40.5 receiving yards. What say you, Calabrese?
Yeah, you have officially come over to the dark side. It's all targets. It's all opportunity. Throw out the receptions, throw out the yardage. You just want to make sure that the ball's in the air and it's going towards your guy. And for someone like the tight end here, I think that's a great play. I think they're going to be playing from behind in terms of game flow. This could be a game played in the 70s, 80s. You want to have as many opportunities as possible. And this is one of the lowest numbers on the board for a player that's going to be targeted a lot. I love it. My last one, this is this is going to be a little bit difficult to swallow for our listeners, but the Red River shootout, at least for my generation, the showdown, the rivalry, whatever you want to call it, I want some action in this game. I like Jonathon Brooks under 98.5 rushing yards. And the reason why it's difficult to stomach is in 3 straight blowouts, he's averaged 20 carries per game and 162 yards. I don't view this game as a blowout. I think this will be a 4-quarter battle. And what that means is that there's a likelihood that Texas could be playing from behind or at least tied for long stretches of this game, which brings players like CJ Baxter off the bench because he's a better receiving target out of the backfield as opposed to Brooks. When Brooks is just eating up carries as they're trying to shrink the game down, run the clock out late, that's when he eats. But I think in a game like this, as you saw against Alabama, he was far below this rushing total. And OU has a very good run defense. They're 8th in PPA. They're allowing just 3.15 yards per carry, which is 29th nationally. I understand that they may be a bit of a paper tiger because they played, 2 or 3 not so good teams, some so-so teams in the Big 12. We're going to find out at 11 a.m. at the Texas State Fairgrounds if OU can bring it. I think they can. I think they bottle up Brooks, and I'd go under all the way down to 95.5 yards.
Calabrese, when you're playing it under, because it's hard for a lot of people to stomach, is the handicap, let me see what a number could be inflated because they've played some softer opponents? Is that kind of how the handicap starts?
Yeah, I mean, basically putting up huge numbers against Baylor and Kansas, that's great. I mean, those teams were overwhelmed. You look at the final box score, there was not an opportunity for them to slow them down on the ground. They knew it was coming. They still couldn't do it. Oklahoma's different. Brent Venables is different. The team just looks to be playing at a much higher level. And like I said, that game flow element, it's not as though this Texas team is running the old wishbone. They got Quinn Ewers. They got Xavier Worthy. They can definitely put the ball into orbit. So there's an opportunity for a guy like Ewers in a shootout to just take the game over and to throw 35 times. So there's lots of outs for me in terms of Brooks not even getting the opportunities to go past this number. And that's why I circled it on my board.
Fair enough. I'm looking forward to that game. We are 2 guys betting college football player props at 78%. I'm pouring sweat. I'm nervous. I feel the pressure. I want to keep it up, but at the very least, we have a tremendous slate this Saturday, and I'm looking forward to it. Calabrese, I'm sure you are as well.
Appreciate it. Enjoy the Red River and the Tiger tussle down there in the SEC.
Yes, sir.